Do you know people who are unmoved? One who remains calm while others are panicked, who stays quiet while others are arguing, who remains unresponsive to those who are trying to get to them. They don't raise their voices. They don't need validation. And yet, paradoxically, others look up to them. This is no accident. It's the result of the power that comes with the study of Stoicism, knowing what to tolerate. As soon as you permit certain behavior, deception, disrespect, manipulation, you are inviting chaos to take up residence in your soul. Warn Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. The key to peace is not to go out to find it, but to protect it. And protection means establishing invisible lines that no one dares to cross, even just once. Now imagine you're surrounded by people who smile to your face but gossip behind your back, who take your kindness for weakness, who twist your emotions to serve their own. The Stoics would say this is your test. The challenge isn't to fight them, but to master yourself so deeply that their behavior no longer shakes your mind. Because true strength is not about domination. True strength is about discernment, knowing what to be silent about and what to exit. Today, you will discover the 7 things that if the Stoics didn't tolerate them, you mustn't either. Lying and deception. Truth is the foundation of virtue. In the world that values appearance over reality, truth has been supplanted by lies and deception. We witness it all around us. People acting as if they are someone else, distorting reality to win others over to their side, or misleading others with partial truths to shield themselves from blame. The Stoics' perspective on lies was that each one tarnished the soul. They believed that truth was more than just an ethical standard. It was spiritual armor. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it, wrote Marcus Aurelius. This was no poetic inscription. It was a survival manual. The philosophies behind the Stoic mind include that whenever you lie, you split yourself in two. You are talking to one side of yourself. The other side knows the truth. Eventually, this will end your internal tranquility. You can't feel calm inside if your conscience is troubled. Seneca, the famous Roman philosopher and statesman, was convinced that truth adds to virtue and that deception undermines virtue. A man, Seneca wrote, who is false to others will be false to himself. You hide one thing, then another, and then you do not know who you are. The Stoics thought that lying was a kind of poison, first to others, then to oneself. Epictetus, who was himself a slave turned philosopher, took it further. It's not things that upset us, he said, but our views about them. When you are living in deception, when you are living in a disconnected reality, you are no longer able to see clearly. You are no longer able to form rational conclusions. The art of living in truth had absolutely nothing to do with living with virtue. It had to do with living with reason. When viewed from the current perspective, to be complicit in either the act of lies and deception will result in the erosion of trust faster than anything else. The fact that one tends to lie about trivial matters means that they will definitely lie during critical stages as well. The Stoics would tell you to steer clear of liars in your life and walk away from them. But this time without any form of anger. The Stoic mentality teaches us that honesty is always strength. It is easy to be dishonest in a world that is fearful of the truth. It is easy to take the shortcut and be dishonest. But to be truthful requires strength. To be truthful means that you are willing to confront reality. You are willing to admit that you are wrong. You are willing to be honest even if no one is around to see it. That is where peace is found. When you speak the truth, you integrate your words, mind, and actions. You are whole and unshakable. Dishonesty might get you approval and an advantage in the short term, but every time you lie, you lose authenticity. The Stoics' wisdom would be this: don't be lax about people's dishonesty. Don't be dishonest yourself. Truth is something more than virtue. Truth is freedom. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. As Marcus Aurelius so wisely said, keep your thoughts clean. Keep them true. That's where the power is. Disrespect and arrogance. You teach others how to treat you. Disrespect can be one such subtle poison that passes unnoticed until it is too late. It begins with something trivial, an air of disdain in your tone that hints at disrespect, perhaps even making a joke about you in company and then reneging on one of your promises without even bothering to say sorry. Most people tend to overlook these things and tell themselves that it is no big deal, but to the Stoics, these are instead red flags, an indicator that you are letting other people set the tone on how you are to be valued. As Seneca writes, he who despises himself is despised by others. The Stoic mind does not see this remark as an affront, but rather as the truth about the world and people's behavior. You are giving these people permission to speak to you with disdain if you permit them to do so. You are giving them license to be arrogant if you keep forgiving them without correcting them. Respect must first come from within your mind and within your use of time and energy. You have the power over what you eat, but not over what is set before you, wrote Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Choose to be captured by those who are stronger than you, he continued. You are free to be captured. You are free to be tortured. But you are not free to set someone else free. You are free to be sold and captured. But you are not free to sell someone else and capture them. But what about disrespect? You certainly can't prevent other people acting disrespectfully. You can only prevent yourself acting disrespectfully in return. To be told to be humble, that is no hardship. In today's culture that idolizes superiority and status, arrogance has been conflated with confidence. But there is a clear difference here according to Stoicism. Confidence springs from self-knowingness and humility. Arrogance proceeds from insecurity. Epictetus writes about confidence. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. A fool wouldn't be able to do that. His ego is tied to feeling superior to others. That's why he puts others down. The Stoic mindset teaches that the most effective way to handle arrogance is to move beyond it by outgrowing it. When someone is disrespecting you, it has nothing to do with your inherent worth and everything to do with the other person's lack of self-control. To react with indignation is to mirror the turmoil. To react with silence and grace is to mirror mastery. You must never allow disrespect to occur in either form. If you disregard the disrespect, then you are definitely inventing rather than maintaining peace. Walking away from those who overstep boundaries means that you are doing so on principle rather than on pride. A true Stoic understands that his/her self-respect is non-negotiable and that self-respect is the key to peace. To be living with the mindset of a Stoic means that you realize that you are teaching people how to treat you by how you are treating yourself. To speak with integrity means to stand with quiet strength. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, as Seneca writes, for he is not permitted to prove himself. When you elect to stand with respect instead of reaction, you are proving your mastery with quiet power. Blame and victimhood, responsibility is freedom. One habit that is quietly and destructively eroding people's lives is the tendency to point fingers at others, rather than taking responsibility for our own situations. Of course, there's something tempting about the reassurance that it's not my fault or they made me feel that way. Yet, as the Stoics Epictetus, Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca so wisely pointed out, blame is the direct antithesis of freedom. Each time you assign blame to someone else, you take away your own freedom to change. Epictetus was famous for his statement that it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it. The above-mentioned thought captures the entire essence of the Stoics' outlook on life. It's impossible to lead a perfect life, Epictetus believed. There's always something unjust happening somewhere in the world, and it includes injustices within one's family. It's impossible to be successful all the time, since there's bound to be somebody who will thwart one's success. But whatever happens to other people affects them only if they allow it to affect them. Talking about the kind of challenges that Emperor Aurelius had to face, wars surrounding him, plagues that took the lives of people he loved, and political betrayals. He hardly complains about anything in the meditations that he'd written. Of course, he didn't spend one bit of his energy on grudges. Rather, he continued to say, "You have the power over what you think, not on external things. It leads the willing and compels the unwilling," Seneca further reminds us. When you refuse to take responsibility for your choices and your desire to change them, you surrender to the will of fate. But if you take responsibility instead, then you are moving in rhythm with life instead of out of rhythm with it. You come to understand that obstacles are really opportunities to build character. The troubled times are the best teachers, the Stoics argue, because then you'll know what you're made of. The mentality of blame and victimhood can be tempting in that it lets you off the hook with regard to feeling uncomfortable. The Stoic philosophy recognizes that true freedom can only be achieved through discipline and taking responsibility.